identified any trends or any trigger points emerging as a result of talking to various families and getting their feedback?
If in terms of domestic violence, for example, they would give feedback in terms of how they feel and also how they witness, whether is it the parent or is it the siblings having aggression towards each other. So this will be part and parcel of the inventory items that they fill in. For example, one of the score item would be the nightmares, the flashbacks, and do they have any physiological symptoms such as cold sweat, nervousness, etc. It assess on the trauma skills, assess on the anxiety skills, as well as the depression skills. Because when you have excessive of anxiety as well as sleepless nightmares, there is a likelihood that it is a correlated.
On the issue of violence in households, yeah, I think there will be long-term repercussions because there are no signs of the pandemic, disappearing just like that. So people's livelihoods have been impacted, people's ability to drop their children off at childcare, all these things have long-term consequences. So I think in terms of at least the trend of increasing domestic violence cases, it will take a while before it sort of flattens out. I don't know, Lena, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Laika. I mean, the world is facing a global public health crisis, for the past 6 months since the outbreak. And besides the rising numbers of cases and fatality with this pandemic, it has also been significant impact to the social, economic, political, and psychosocial impact. So the social isolation alone can lead to chronic loneliness and boredom, especially for those who have lost their job, they decide, or they're homemakers, or they have pre-existing health condition that they are confined to home. And if it is long enough, it can have a detrimental effects on the physical as well as the mental well-being. We look at 3 main domains. One would be the physical well-being of the person who called. For example, do they fall sick very easily? Are they, having outbreak of cold sweat? They're talking about always having migraine, headache, having difficulty in breathing because they're confined in the same space. They are afraid of getting out into a mall or having sleep disturbance, as what mentioned earlier. Heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, rapid heartbeat, or even simple thing as diarrhea. So these are some of the physical signs. And then we also look at the emotional signs, such as whether this person has got a lot of anger, fear, or extreme sadness, or even shame and guilt, as well as the third domain, which is the mental part of it, which is are they slowly exhibiting poor signs of concentration? They tend to forget things, or are they hypervigilant, or are they losing their sense of reality, or having flashbacks, easily irritable? This easily irritable will be the behavioral aspect that you talk about. Or inability to feel positive. It's not easy to feel positive during this time frame, but it doesn't help to feel negative, right? So the positive aspect and being able to have a routine to go on with your day-to-day does help in terms of managing the stress.
How do employers and leaders detect changes in behavior that could indicate stress within their teams if people are just working from home and you only see them like this on a video chat?
Let me give you one anecdote example of a caller. He was facing work stress. He is one of the frontline responder. Being a frontline responder, his workload not only double or even triple. He has to still go back and enter his system on the cases that he's attending to at the hospital. He felt that normally he's trying to clear his inbox, his emails. It's like 200 to 300 a day. But because of this pandemic, it doubles. It became 500 to 600 emails, and he told me he just couldn't cope anymore. It's like doubling the emails. How am I going to cope? So he thought to himself, maybe I will just put it aside, take a break. The next day, then I will come and take a look at it. And the next day, my goodness, it doubled up to 1,000 over emails, and he started to have panic attack. So for his bosses, one way to also take note of is checking on your staff well-being and whether or not they, I think periodic checking in with them to ensure that the front line or even any of the colleagues who are working, to ensure that there is the self-care portion. I think it's so important, not only for normal working people, but especially so for frontline responders, because there is a tendency that they, in their zest or passion in trying to reach out to help, they have a high tendency to forget about self-care.
What did you recommend to him?
So I helped him to understand his physical response to this kind of anxiety, because it's a performance anxiety that he's having. There is a certain threshold that one could handle, right? You know, you cannot keep doing that. You can do 1,000 emails and 2,000 emails a day. You have to prioritize. So
we're not robots yet.
Yeah. So and also I empower him to have a chat with his boss.
Do you think this is a situation where organizations, especially in this case, if it's a frontline person and you know that they're being severely tested, it's time for the organization to step in and bring in relief support. So things like the administrative part of things will be taken over by somebody else, so you can pay attention to what needs to be achieved on the ground. You know, should organizations have that sort of mentality rather than, oh, this is tough, you've got to, just tough it out and accomplish it?
Not all organizations are mindful that their staff may be experiencing burnout or a change in the new norm. Even in terms of Zoom meetings or in terms of working from home, there is a tendency that people tend to forget about the boundaries between time to work and time to rest, because they tend to work all the way past their normal working hours as if they are in the office. Forget that, oh gosh, I should turn off my computer now, and now it's time for me to be spending my time with my children, enjoy a wonderful lunch or things like that. There is a tendency to forget about that and continue doing whatever that comes in through your mails or your work.
So if more people are staying home to work, wouldn't that be a bigger issue to deal with? The fact that people are unable to manage their time, that they will be spending all their time at work.
For those who actually practice healthy boundaries, they don't run into this problem. In fact, they actually enjoy working from home. They manage to see the bright side of it, and they love spending time at home. They can have lunch and dinner with their family. They spend time with their children, and they actually set a limit, like, okay, answer emails if it's urgent. They'll push a little bit, but they have a cut-off time. It's those who are not introduced to boundaries that are experiencing this problem, and they go back and they feel that they have to answer these emails. As Lena said, the lines get blurred so much that 10:30 p.m. normally they wouldn't be in the office, but they're answering emails on their mobile, or they feel like it feels urgent.
Is it an individual response, or is it because of the company culture to accomplish
I think
things
it's
regardless?
both.
Yeah,
I think it's both. Yeah. Sometimes it could be the company's culture, because I've heard of cases where bosses sending out emails at 3 a.m. in the morning.
But then the employee doesn't have to respond.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, you're right.
As a boss, you would send it out because you just want to get it off your
you're so right.
Underway, right?
So it is
a
both.
Response at 3:01.
Yeah, it is both, because one would be the company's culture. Maybe they expect them to respond within the 24 hours. The other one would be the self-imposed sense of urgency. So it is both ways.
I think it's important that you see that there's a power differential as well. So if the company and your bosses are responding to emails at 3:01 or 3:30 in the morning or all of that stuff, there's also an unspoken expectation that you will respond, right? Or there's the pressure on yourself, like, how will they look at me if I say that I'm not going to respond past 10 p.m., but everyone else, the higher management, is working till 3 a.m., then are they going to reflect poorly on me? Is it going to impact my bonus? All of those things, right? So there's quite a lot of privilege that comes with being able to set your own boundaries if the company culture doesn't also follow suit.
I was just thinking, imagine walking up to the CEO or COO and like, by the way, this is my boundaries list.
Yeah,
just so you no emails after 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Have you seen a spike in demand for your services?
We see a spike in terms of callers through our helpline, or Here For You helpline. There is this sense of uncertainty, and I think during the announcement of the budget, they are also calling and saying, when am I going to get my money? When am I going to get my money? Where am I going to get my money? That kind of anxiety, or I just lost my job. Can you quickly introduce a job to me? So we just got to calm them down, give them the necessary referral to the right resources, and then that's where they are able to pick up and continue. Yeah. So sometimes they just need someone to listen to because they are at the stage of distress, but it's not a mental health illness. It's not a mental illness, but it's just the distress level.
Mainly, the spike that I've noticed is in unmanageability of anxiety, and sometimes it's like Lena said, it's just they need someone to just listen to them and just help them to regulate their emotions and really give them paint a big picture for them, because the distress that they feel, the spike, kind of causes them to focus on that one thing. And then that particular negative event gets linked to another one, and then they get into this doom and gloom kind of cloud, and they can't seem to get out of this. And sometimes just having someone to sit there and listen to them and really map out their entire situation and say, well, there are silver linings, there are resources, right? It's not all doom and gloom, can be beneficial for them.
Well, everybody talks about people losing their jobs. Business owners are losing this potential losing businesses. That's probably a bigger headache for them, because not only are they losing the business, they're also losing their employees, are also losing jobs as a result of it. And they would have to figure out how to come back into this game. What are the options open to this group of people? Do you see more of them coming and talking to you, or are they the sort that will try and internalize and try and figure it out themselves?
They lost their job. So then they are calling in, and we do refer them to SkillsFuture, and they manage to get some referral for courses or for them to reskill or relearn new skills for new jobs. So that's
I don't know how effective those things are, frankly, because if you've got a job, then getting you to do some other skills suddenly is not very practical. And I don't think it's something you can apply almost immediately, right? You've got a situation, you lose a job, you've got to start something straight away.
Yeah.
Skilling
I agree with
somebody
you,
in a different direction is
I agree with you. It's definitely a discomfort for many people. It's also important to maintain a healthy daily routine and stay connected, because it's also the maintaining of the social connections that with friends, colleagues, or even social network online. You might chance upon somebody who could give you some connections or help you out. There's a study by Harvard Studies that shows that social connection actually improve emotional well-being and increase the longevity of the life as well. So it's so important to stay connected.
Yeah, I think a lot of how COVID will play out will still be factored in as we move along. We haven't quite reached the end of the road on this one. So it's good to take some of the things that you've raised during the session and sort of actively use them, like managing your time better, understanding the importance of networks and keeping your communications avenues alive. I mean, thank goodness for digital, frankly, because imagine if we had this and we had no digital support. It was just stonewall faces and people, and that's it. You cannot reach out beyond the confines of your house. That would have been a lot worse, I think. But Lena, Laika, and Varian, thank you so much for sharing your lunch with us and your thoughts and your ideas and your experiences. Look forward to the next chat, which we'll have next week. Meanwhile, this edited session will be on the stormasia.com site. We will also put up some resources which Lena has provided, and Varian's survey to test out how well you're coping with things. Have a safe rest of the week, and thank you again.